what's the process, I guess, for setting up pre-draft interviews and workouts for some of your players?
The teams do that. The teams will anything pre-draft usually is team related.
Right.
They'll call and say, "Hey, we want to bring a guy in on this visit." And that usually starts some of it before the combine. I know last year I had a bunch set up for Myles. Sometimes it's after, and then the teams, even guys that don't go to the combine, those are some of the guys that gets the most visits because they got it. Everything is based on physicals and being healthy. So if you got a guy that didn't go to the combine, that means that all 32 teams aren't there to see his reports. So now, if you like this player, or even if you think you're drafting late, you got to get a physical on him because you don't have one. So teams bring in the undrafted guys a lot. So, but that's all by them. I mean, they'll call for the workouts. So it's not an agent-related thing where they say, "Hey, bring my guy in."
Right.
Usually it's somebody's calling, be like, "Hey, can we bring him in on March 9th?"
Right.
Like, well, now he's with Pittsburgh this day. Okay, well, what about this day? So they try to coordinate it to come in, but they definitely, some of it's BS, some of it's smoke screen, and then a lot of it's medical. They want to see medicals, or if a guy got some kind of character issue, they want to bring him in and talk to him for a day, take him out to dinner, and have him meet everybody. So.
It's funny that you say that because a lot of Bengals fans have been talking about Joe Mixon, and reports came out that he wasn't invited to the combine. So it seems like he would kind of fall in line. If teams were interested, they'll definitely be bringing him.
He's a really good player. He's going to get a lot of visits. I mean, he'll probably be flying around the most of any player after combine, because he's I would say he's a top 3 running back in this draft. Skill-wise, and he obviously has the off-field issues that he has to handle or teams have to handle. So if you're looking from a skill-wise, he's a top 3 player at his position. Now, how teams factor everything else in is on them, but he'll definitely be the type of guy that they'll bring in because they'll be interested. Now, where they'll be interested is up to them. I mean, that's something that I'm glad I don't have to deal with because it's a talent versus the character issue, and that's where I think he'll get he might do the most visits out of any player this draft season just because he didn't go to the combine. Now, if he goes to the combine, he can meet with every team there. But they didn't invite him for a reason, and rightfully so. So he has to handle that part, and if a team is comfortable with him, they'll take him. If they're not, they'll move on.
Right. Interesting. So we spoke a little bit previously in the interview of you representing Myles Jack. Did the Bengals show any interest in him last year before the draft?
It was light. I mean, they knew of him, and they knew. They knew me. They can call me anytime and ask me about. They've asked me about plenty of my guys. It's funny because a lot of the teams in the 20s and even in the late teens didn't even, in my opinion, do a lot of homework because they weren't expecting him to be there.
Right.
And I remember, I started knowing about 2 weeks before the draft that he could slide a little bit because of the knee. And so, you just reach out to people and, I just wanted to know a floor, because I wasn't going to let him go to the draft with that question. And there was some teams in the teams like, he's, what are you talking about? He's not even getting to us. And I had to tell a couple of them, like, no, do your homework. Like, he may get there. So they like, okay. But we don't, nobody in our room thinks he's going to be there. And this is before the Bengals were even picking.
Wow.
So I know that teams that were before them didn't think he would get there. So the Bengals, a lot of times they'll do their homework, but they don't think certain players are going to be there. But no, they knew of him. And, we talked a little bit during the draft, while it was going on. But I think at that point, they're sort of fixed on who they want, and then, it was one team that was just asking me to send videos of them working out. They were picking like right around the Bengals. So it's crazy. The draft is like, you think they do all this homework, and then some teams, they'll have their own mocks, and they're like, well, these are the 5 guys that we need to focus on because these guys aren't going to be there.
Right.
Like the guy with the mask last year, the weed mask.
Right.
He fell in a lot, and I think the Dolphins they didn't think he was going to be there. It's like he's a top 5, top 6 guy. So now your whole draft plan has changed because the guy's in your face that you didn't think. So I think that happens a lot. Myles definitely was like that for a lot of teams. They didn't think he would be down there. But they obviously didn't take him until his early second.
Right, like you said, there's always that guy or a couple of prospects that kind of fall, and like you said, teams that expected them to be drafted way earlier are kind of unprepared and they're kind of fumbling to kind of, I guess, in a sense, figure out what they want to do there. So yeah.
Well, it's like that too, but Myles was special because of injury. His case, and I read a article. It was in one of I think the Milwaukee paper about the Packers, how they got into an argument about it. Like the one guy was telling one of their main scouts, or he was like, listen, draft him. He's a Pro Bowl player. Like, this guy will be, in the scout, and the GM is kind of fixed on his thing. And then so it created some, some issues in their draft room. And I know just from having friends in different rooms, and that's true. I know a lot of teams that had that conversation.
Right.
Definitely the second day of the draft, that afternoon, I was very busy talking to teams and, people that wanted to take him were trying to move up to get him, and they were trying to get me for information about who was going to get him. So it became that point again where teams are calling, and I knew he was going quickly, and, I had a feeling it was going to be Jacksonville. They were going to move up to get him. And but yeah, when you're dealing with an injury, now if it's a talent thing where a guy's falling, then that's one thing. But when it's an injury and people are just kind of like not knowing what the deal is, then that's why maybe a team like the Bengals didn't pull a trigger.
Right.
Now if he hadn't been injured, he's fallen, maybe they would have taken him. Or who knows? But that's part of the draft, man. It's a crazy process, and teams miss and they hit sometimes. And I think a lot of teams missed on Myles, but he's happy now.
Right. Exactly. So as we know, you represent Rock Nation, and you basically just joined them in 2016. So what do you think Rock Nation, the sports division, does to separate themselves or set themselves apart from other agencies out there?
Everybody's different.
Right.
Rock is really it's a smaller place. We're not trying to be out here representing 100 players. That's not our style. That's not our goal.
Right.
We try to really provide a service to where we take care of our players. We try to manage them the best, put a nice circle around them so they can succeed. So everybody has their own mission statements and say they do this and that. We try to really focus on us, and anybody that's a client is going to tell you that, hey, these guys take care of me. And we just try to really focus on that. We don't have any egos about it. It's not about me. It's not about this person. That it's about the player. So I know a lot of people on the outside may think it's all glitz and glamour, but it's business.
Right.
And you got to handle business before pleasure. I tell players all the time, all of that stuff is fine. But if you can't play, or you're not focused enough to play, then you don't get to do all of that stuff because it's not going to be there for you. In general, you'll be out of the league. So we just try to make sure our guys are focused and handling their business. But I don't think we're different or, we're not here to say we're better or worse than anybody. I think everybody, and I've been around a lot of agencies. I'm happy to be where I'm at, for sure. But, we just work and we don't worry about everybody else.
Right. Great. So John, definitely appreciate you coming on and speaking with us and sharing some of that insight. I know that you have a busy schedule coming up with contracts and free agency and the draft. So we want to wish you the best of luck, and also, again, can't thank you enough for joining us here on New Stripe City.
Thank you, man. Thanks for having me, and best of luck with your, with your site here, and hopefully the fans, they get informed. So I was a part of that fan. I've always been a fan of Bengals, and even I was done with the media stuff, so it's cool.
And that wraps up our interview with John. John is a cool guy. He was definitely down to earth. One of the coolest guys to kind of talk to from both angles. So I figured you guys would like that. But with that being said, we'll go ahead and end this with a who day, all day, every day, and especially on Sunday.
Always business, never personal. Here's the 3rd and 7, and the carry goes down the field, and it's caught and breathes in.
guys will always get